The ocean, home to many of Earth's most diverse ecosystems and the largest carbon sequester on the planet. When I hear this sound, I think of not only coastal ecosystem, but the ocean as a whole. As the sound of the waves splash against the rocks on the shoreline, I feel myself getting ready to take a dive. But before that, I look around to the rocks the waves are splashing against, and the seagulls in search for any unfortunate crabs to wash up on shore. After taking ecology, I found that this ecosystem is quite significant to the ocean as there are many like them around the globe, and they all contribute to the ocean's nutrient flux. Whether that nutrients be a type of salt or phosphorus due to runoff from the mainland, the interaction is still significant to many of the ocean's ecosystems and processes. However, there is one troubling resource that has grown in the ocean over time. As you dive in, you feel your curiosity begin to flourish and start exploring, but then it hits you. You see deformed shells and remember coral bleaching and feel a slight burn on your skin. Well, maybe not that last part, but you get the idea. Unfortunately, as CO2 emissions have accumulated in the atmosphere, the amount of carbon in the ocean has also increased, leading to ocean acidification. Before taking introductory ecology, I thought the simple fix would be to plant more trees and reduce carbon output, but this turns out to only partly be right. Over the term, I learned that this process changes the environmental conditions of the aquatic environment because it increases the acidity of the ocean by increasing the amount of carbonic acid in the ocean and decreasing the amount of available carbonate ions. This change in conditions could lead to a reduction in the available niches for species, meaning a reduction in suitable habitat that a species can live in, causing endangerment and even extinction in some cases. However, this should mean that growing more plants to use the carbon in photosynthesis will reduce acidification, right? It's not that easy. You see, organisms work to acquire the resource that is most limiting. In some cases, this is carbon, in which case it would work, but in other cases, it depends. For example, if a plant lives in a dry climate, then water will be limiting and more CO2 will have no effect as the plant will be saturated, meaning there is more of the resource available than it can use. If ocean acidification is not remedied, this could lead to a large impact on coastal communities that rely on fishing for food and equity, as species may migrate to environments that have more suitable conditions to live in, which may be farther away from these coastal communities. Thus, it is important that we understand why ocean acidification is a problem, and why some solutions don't work, like plants increasing their growth. It's also important to know how these ecosystems are structured, as those structures were formed by many interactions like predation, competition, and symbiosis, which in turn formed intricate food webs and partial exclusion from some overlapping niches, which if affected in the wrong way, could lead to a large consequence such as a trophic cascade, where removal of a trophic level causes an effect down the food chain. It could also be noted that these ecosystems wouldn't exist without primary producers, which use photosynthesis to store energy in the form of starch, which then contributes to the carbon cycle by getting used in respiration. In conclusion, ecosystems are complex, so a simple solution to ocean acidification will likely cause a more complex problem to arise. Moving forward, we should adopt the indigenous two-eyed seeing technique, which allows us to look at the world through the lens of an indigenous perspective and a Western scientist's perspective, to synthesize a solution that is both sustainable and scientifically sufficient at restoring our ocean's ecosystems to a more stable and healthy state.